Works to complete the airport access tunnel will resume. At a cabinet meeting, the government decided to entrust the works to GBC, which meant there was no need to go out to tender. The tunnel is expected to be ready in a maximum of 24 months. In April, a UK court found that the previous GSD government correctly terminated the contract of OHL, the company awarded the original tender, and was entitled to recover from it all costs associated with the termination and completion over and above the contract price. A hearing to assess the amount payable by the firm in damages is scheduled for late next year. Stephen Nish has been speaking to the Chief Minister.
Well, of course, the litigation in London in which the government succeeded, which I told you is one of the things that I had been most involved in the time that I have been elected and that I've been involved in directing with the lawyers advising the government, enabled us to see that the contractor OHL, which had been terminated on the site, was going to be responsible for the extra over costs of the cost of the contract from 30 million that had originally been the estimate or the amount that they tendered to the approximately 90 million that OHL itself has said it would now cost to complete the works. Having done that, I've had a meeting of Cabinet this morning where we've considered all the issues. I'd previously spoken to the management of GBC. We'd actually pre-qualified other companies also for the potential to have a tender for this project, but the Cabinet is satisfied that GBC has the expertise to successfully finish this contract, and we've therefore decided that they should recommence works as soon as possible.
And as soon as possible being how soon?
Well, literally, I think you'll see mobilization down here very quickly during the course of this calendar month, and the 14 to 24 months that we estimate the work will take, and it's impossible to be more precise until the diaphragm walls have been inspected by the new contractor. That should mean that you can start counting from the end of this month.
Okay, and 14 to 24 months, just in time for the next election, perhaps?
Well, I mean, you might think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
How much disruption do you envisage there might be as a result of these works?
Well, you see, the intention of the government in pursuing this project now in particular has to do with that issue. We don't want there to be issues at the frontier now with Spain doing her own works and then issues at the frontier in future because of the works we have to do. And you can see behind me the new estate at Beachview Terraces. We don't want people to move into Beachview Terraces and then have to suffer the disruption of the tunnel works. So our view is that if we start now, we should be able to finish all of the works south of the runway in good time for any of the new residents of Beachview Terraces to take their splendid new apartments next year, and to finish the works in time to ensure that once the works on the Spanish side are finished, we are very much almost complete ourselves, so that the new road in and out of Gibraltar and under the runway can be completed during the course, very much I hope, of the next calendar year.
Won't it be too much to cope with, in the sense that, as you say, there are going to be works on the Spanish side of the frontier as well, there's going to be works over here? Won't it become a little bit overwhelming?
All of the works that are going to be happening, if you like, east of the commercial gate will not affect what's happening to the west of the commercial gate. So our works now will not interfere with the works being done by Spain in the area of the loop and the commercial gate, which are being done in a way that I think is unfortunately disruptive and almost designed to be disruptive. We are designing our works to ensure that we are the least disruptive possible.
And the GSD welcomed the news, with the opposition leader Daniel Feetham describing the tunnel as essential to Gibraltar's continued future development. And we'll be back with more of this week's stories after this break.
Are you looking to improve your home? Unofficial offer a select range of quality sofas, beds and bathrooms on display in our showroom. Visit us today and see for yourself. When it comes to your home, think Unofficial.
Welcome back. The Royal Gibraltar Police had to intervene twice last weekend to prevent the escalation of two separate incidents at sea. Both incidents involved illegal incursions by the Guardia Civil, who on both occasions alleged local fishermen had been fishing tuna illegally in Spanish waters.
It was late on Saturday morning when shipping enthusiast Michael Sanchez spotted the apparently distressed local boat. Mr. Sanchez told us he called the RGP after seeing the Guardia Civil's Rio Sedena carry out dangerous cat-and-mouse manoeuvres in close proximity to a white cabin cruiser in the waters west of the South Mole. The RGP's Sir Joshua Hassan was able to respond quickly, escorting the local boat back into port. The Spanish state vessel headed back to Algeciras, monitored by a Royal Navy rib. An RGP spokesperson confirmed to GBC the local boat had fishing tackle on board, but it didn't have any tuna fish. Nevertheless, the RGP will be investigating the Guardia Civil's allegations further. GBC understands the local fishermen had been in an area of Spanish waters where tuna fishing is popular when in season, which it hasn't been for months. Although the EU and other member states are part of the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tunas, Gibraltar is not, and therefore doesn't have an internationally agreed quota. Early on Sunday evening, the RGP received another call for help from a local fishing boat in waters 1.5 miles off Europa Point. A different white cabin cruiser was being chased by the Guardia Civil's Rio Tormes. It's not clear where the chase started, but the RGP intervened in local waters, accompanying the local fishermen to Gibraltar shores. A spokesperson said the UK government supports cooperation between the respective agencies in and around the Strait of Gibraltar, but added the sovereignty of British Gibraltar territorial waters must be upheld at all times. The convent has confirmed the Guardia Civil attempted to exercise jurisdiction over the pleasure craft, and the British government will be protesting these actions directly with the Spanish government. A spokesperson said the convent remains in constant communication with the Gibraltar government on these issues, and Number 6 supports the action taken by the convent and the UK government.
The draft application for World Heritage status for the Gorham's Cave complex is to be submitted to UNESCO for a completeness check. Local and international members of the steering committee this week held their first meeting since a Neanderthal engraving discovered at the cave made headline news across the world.
The discovery of the first ever intentional and non-functional engraving made by a Neanderthal was widely reported in the international media and raised questions about the creativity and intelligence of Neanderthals. The importance of the discovery was highlighted at the start of today's meeting by Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Joseph Garcia, who spoke of the cultural, touristic and historical value of Gibraltar's Neanderthal heritage.
I want to start by thanking you all for the work that you've done over the last year and indeed in the years in which the World Heritage Bid has been formulated. I think it's very important, not just for Gibraltar, but also globally, given the results that were announced recently and the worldwide publicity that the work on the cave obtained.
Over 20 people met today in the Wessex Lounge at the Gibraltar International Airport to go through all the issues dealt with in the proposal.
We have representation of government departments, also Gibraltar Heritage Trust, GONHS, Nature Conservancy Council from locally. And then from abroad, we're taking the opportunity to Calpe to have a former Deputy Director of the UNESCO World Heritage Centre here with us. We've also got Dr. Chris Young, who was until very recently the World Heritage Policy Advisor for English Heritage, effectively for the United Kingdom government, and Sue Davis, who was Deputy Director of the UK National Commission for UNESCO. So we've got some very top people here.
What are the different aspects of the bid that you'll be looking at today?
We will look at everything, but particularly we are going to look at the precise definition of the boundaries of the property, the features that give it its outstanding universal value, and then a works programme. We have a number of areas to do with from fixing steps to security issues and so on, and those are the main areas that we will be focusing today. This afternoon we'll have the first meeting of an International Research and Conservation Committee, which we're setting up to look at precisely to what degree can we excavate in the cave, to what degree do we conserve deposits, and it's important that it's not just us saying it, that we have ratification or comments from an international committee, and some of the members will be staying on for this afternoon.
The draft proposal is to be submitted for UNESCO to check, not for content at this stage, but for completeness.
The nomination, there's a set format, and you have to cover things like the case for outstanding universal value, integrity, authenticity, any problems there may be, what's going to be done to improve the site and so on. And the management plan really sets out how all the bodies that are involved are going to work together to make the whole management work.
What is it for you that makes this a good bid for World Heritage status?
I think it's the fact that there are so few Neanderthal sites on the World Heritage List, and this one you've got such exceptional evidence from Gorham's Cave, and also you've got the sort of evidence of the environment in which they live still growing on the cliffs, because so many of the plant species from the caves in the archaeological record you can still find going up the cliff face growing now.
According to Professor Clive Finlayson, progress on the proposal is going very well. The next meeting of the steering committee is expected to be held in November, with work to continue on finalising the application before its submission by January next year.
The Gibraltar Football Association this week said it was keeping its options open regarding the venue that will be used to host the European qualifiers. It added an announcement will be made before the new year. The GFA said it's noted the security concerns expressed by its supporters in the recent 2 games against Malta and Poland. An article in the Panorama newspaper this week claimed the GFA plans to play the remaining home matches in London. But in answer to GBC questions, the association confirmed the second home game against Georgia will be played at the Estadio Algarve on the 14th of October. Ticketing information for this game will soon be released. A species of bat not previously confirmed in Gibraltar was identified at this week's International Bat Night. Over 250 people attended the event held at the open-air theatre in the Botanic Gardens. And that's all we have time for tonight on News Review. For the rest of this week's news, you can head over to our website at gbc.gi/news. Thank you very much for watching. From the team, good night.